joining this Meetup event. In fact, this is my first time here, so nice to see everyone. Okay. My name is Katherine. I'm a Principal Applied Scientist Manager in Microsoft SQL organization. So today I would like to take this opportunity to share with all of our friends here about some of the exciting AI/ML stuff we have been doing within the SQL organization. Okay. So from a high level, this is some of the key areas/pillars our engineering organization have been invest our efforts in the AI era. So we have a lot of exciting investment in Copilot. So yeah, nowadays who doesn't do anything with Copilot, right? Copilot, definitely. And then also SQL is one of the best place for developers to build an AI application. So I will also talk about some of the investment there. And also, of course, I want to have show hand. How many of you know AI Ops or heard about AI Ops? Okay, awesome. So today I will also share some of the works that's happening in the SQL organization. How can we leverage AI Ops to make our service much more efficient and also empower our engineer to be much more efficient to help our customer. And last but not least, I will talk a little bit about the autonomous database investment as well. Okay, first thing first, Copilot. So let me start with a short demo, which is already publicly announced and demo at one of the most important database conference last month. So let's watch the demo first, and then I will talk about some of the details.
We are back again at the past summit. I think last year we were here, we had a little competition. I won.
You?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Oh no, I think so.
Anyone remember?
Yeah, it was me.
No.
Oh, what?
So. Yeah.
Okay. All
it's
right.
okay.
Well, whatever. All right.
It's all right. You want to do another competition?
About what?
SQL. You know SQL, right?
Anna, I've written 4 books. Yes, I know SQL, of course.
Okay. All right. So
let's do it.
You don't mind then if I use a little Copilot?
A Copilot. Bring it. Yeah, let's see that.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we're gonna do a competition.
What's this for?
3 rounds. I've got my easy button. Now, whoever hits the easy button first for each round wins that round.
It's easy.
Well, if you've got it solved.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, so let me show you the setup here.
Okay, what do I got?
Okay, so I know it's a little small on your page because I want folks to be able to see both of our screens.
Okay.
On the right, that's your VM. I got Azure Data Studio set up. We got
of course,
2
Azure Data Studio. Okay, that's
Azure
fine.
SQL databases.
Okay.
You're going to use today.
Okay.
For the first problem, you're going to use the first database.
Okay. All right.
All right. I'm going to use the portal.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So the first problem is developers have reported that the database is performing slowly.
Performance. It's my bailiwick. Got it. Let's
do
ready?
It.
I'm ready. Let's go. Let's go.
Ready?
Okay. Okay.
Go.
Okay. Let me connect over here. I'll DMVs, baby. I know it all day long. All right. Let me go with clear. Compare new query. What is it? It's use IntelliSense. It's resource stats. DS, DMDB. That's where I'm going to start. DMDB, resource stats. I'm going to hit here.
It's easy.
I got it.
What? What'd you do over here? What is this?
Yeah. Okay. So what you see is the Copilot figured out that the CPU usage was high. It also found 2 queries that I could fix to make it perform a little bit better.
I could have done that.
You would have gotten there.
I would have gotten there. Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
You know what? It also says, refer to free training by SQL expert Bob Ward. It's okay. It's okay.
Hoffman. Okay.
It's okay.
All right. Okay.
You ready for problem 2?
Bring it. Let's try problem 2. Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Now what are we going to do?
Okay, so for problem 2,
okay,
some folks have been reporting that they can't connect to the database.
Okay, that's easy, no problem.
Now, for this one, you're going to use the second Azure SQL database.
One that's red there.
The one that's red.
Could be down.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, I got it. Okay, I'm just going to connect first. If I can connect. Wait a minute, some can't do it. Okay, event log. Let's go here from, I can't type. Come on, Bob. It's event log, isn't it?
That was easy.
Come on.
Got it.
What is going on here? What does it say?
Okay, so what it says is it says the Copilot found, like, did some basic checks and then said 7 connections were blocked by the firewall rule. So then said, hey, you can open the firewall settings and, you know, figure out how to get folks.
I would have gotten there.
You would have gotten there.
Yeah.
Bob, do you like baseball?
Do I like baseball? The Rangers won the World Series. Of course I like baseball.
That's 2 strikes.
Ah! Hoffman. Okay, all right. Give me another chance.
Okay.
Another chance. Give me a chance. Yeah.
All right, last problem.
Okay. What do we got?
Okay, so let me pull up the last problem. Now this problem 3
Yeah.
says, find the most recent orders for customers who have sales over
this is a SQL problem.
100,000. Yeah,
okay, we're doing a SQL. Okay. I know it tick. We got it. Okay. No
Okay.
problem.
Got it. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this query over here.
What are you doing?
But I don't want it to seem like I'm cheating.
Yeah, it looks like you're cheating.
So what I'm gonna do is, by the way, for this one, you're gonna use the first Azure SQL
The first
database
server.
again.
Okay. I'm writing a query based, but I got to see the problem.
Yeah. So what I did is in the File Explorer,
Okay.
down there at the bottom,
Okay.
you see that problem 3.
Oh, I got a markdown. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, got the problem. Okay, got it.
I don't want you to think I'm cheating.
Well, yeah, kind of seems like that way. Okay, all right, here we go. All right.
Okay, you ready?
I'm ready. All
right.
I can already tell. This is CTE. It's got to be. Okay. So with, I can use IntelliSense here, right? With customers as, let me go. So select. Okay. But I got to know which table I'm doing. Select star from. Let me go here. Come on, what is going on here? There's no way you did that.
Yeah.
Not for that.
Yeah, so Copilot actually has natural language to SQL capabilities. So I just kind of pasted in what we were trying to do.
It didn't work though.
Yeah, I wrote this CTE. You were talking about that, right?
Yeah, it was CTE. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have done that. I would have gotten there. Yeah.
You would have gotten there. And
Yeah.
by the way, Bob, there's a GitHub Copilot in Azure Data Studio.
Could have told me that before we got on stage. That would have helped me. So yeah, thanks a lot. That wasn't bad.
After you guys watch the demo video, what do you guys' first reaction? Maybe can ask some from the audience to share with us. What's your first reaction? Cool. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. So. Yeah. Thank you. So in fact, just a little bit about this awesome gentleman, Bob. So he has more than 30 years experiences in database management, writing SQL. So he's a SQL database expert. And he's very famous in the database community. So with Bob, competing against Copilot, it is literally how we want to position how the powerfulness of the Copilot. Yeah. Yeah. I know Sanjay, this gentleman here, he's the director, head of the program manager from SQL organization. So his team has some opening. If you guys are interested in any of this job, please reach out to Sanjay after the event. Thank you. So as you guys can see from the demo just now, so basically, you illustrate a few key capability of this SQL Copilot. First, this Copilot is not just given answer based on documentation, right? Definitely has no kind of, but it's also fully aware of the customer's workload, what kind of issue is encountering, and also we have doing the deep down telemetry analysis, so that when customer asks a question in natural language, it could be English, behind the scene, we actually can intelligently run on the diagnostics, right? And then return the insight to customers to help them to troubleshoot the problem within seconds. So this is definitely saving our customer a lot of time, right? So as you guys know, I'm not sure how many of you have used database, not just SQL, but any of the database. Awesome. So do you guys agree managing or troubleshooting a database problem is pain in the ass? Okay, cool. So this is the whole point of Copilot, because we want to provide as much self-help to our customers so that it help to remove some of their key pain points when they're trying to manage their database, when they're trying to troubleshoot their database. And the last scenario, right, it is when user want to write a query, right? So maybe just similar as GitHub Copilot capability, but it is able to, based on your natural language, is able to generate the corresponding relevant query on user behalf. So all these are very, very exciting Copilot features we are developing. Okay, move on to the next one. So next one, I want to talk about the AI application on SQL. So basically, I want to give you guys a more like a end-to-end landscape in terms of, a lot of people, when I talk about SQL database, it is not just saying someone is storing the data in the database, that's end of story. No, right? Because people want to do some exciting things. For example, building AI applications on top of the SQL database, right? This is the more complete story. So that's why I want to show you guys how, if you store your data in SQL database, right, from Microsoft, you will be actually empowered with the entire suite of the cool AI capability for you to do your AI job much easier. Okay, so I'm not sure how many of you have heard about the announcement a few months ago, which is, as of today, you already can, within your SQL database, you basically can use the SQL Server code to invoke any of the external REST API. So why this is important? Because one, it is definitely makes your life much easier. So while writing SQL, if you want to, let's say, call OpenAI endpoint, right? You don't need to create your Python script to do that and then kind of stitch things together. You can basically do a lot of things within SQL. And also another most important reason is because this will make the entire process much more secure, right? So because you're making a SQL Server call, and it will make the process extremely secure for you. And also, how many of you heard about vector database, vector search? Yeah, I think one of the speakers today, yes, we also talk about vector database. I'm not going to talk too much about this. Is a very big, important area. So basically, we provide different capability for you to do a vector search, like leveraging different kind of Microsoft tools, right? So when you to do vector similar search for your data stored in SQL. And also, you guys just watched the Copilot demo just now. And one of the key components of almost all the Copilot effort, it is around vector search, right? And then last but not least, in order to make all these things possible for our customer, we need, as an enterprise, the enterprise requirement for, in order to make everything secure, scalable, right? So this is extremely important. Yeah. Okay, with that, I also want to play a quick demo, again, done by our amazing Bob. So basically, it shows how a user have data stored in SQL database, and then actually he can use prompt flow. How many of you heard about prompt flow from Microsoft? Okay, so later on, when you watch the demo, you understand what's prompt flow about and what kind of thing you can do. And also you can you also piece the Azure Cognitive Search, the better capability.
Flow before, but you should check this out. So my goal is to go build flow before, but you should check this out. So my goal is to go build like an AI chatbot on my website, but I want customers to interact with my actual data in my website stored in a National SQL database in a very context way. So I can use the new prompt flow to do that. In this example right here, what I've done is I've built prompts to go use Python code to go get information based on my products, based on my sales, based on my customers, and I'm going to feed that information down through a flow so that when the chat actually happens, it can actually take advantage of that and give context-rich information to my customers. So you can see this is real code, and this is a sample we've actually published on that site I just mentioned. You scroll down here, you can see examples of the Python code to actually go connect to the database and use a cooperation with Azure Cognitive Search to make this happen. So using the prompts is great to get the queries, but there's some other things I need to do here. I'd like to be able to do a test chat. So right within the prompt flow in Machine Learning Studio, I can test out my data. I can test out whether the chat's going to work, and give me rich context for this. Now, I don't give it a customer name yet. I'm just asking it generic questions to see, is it going to come back with something reasonable? The other thing is we want to be responsible in AI. So you can feed into the Prompt Flow Studio instructions for how should the chat behave with our customers. How should it prompt things? How should it say things? Should it be context sensitive to data that we have? It's basically instructions for the behavior of the chat session itself. Now, I've got this working now, but I'd like to test it in real. So once you build one of these prompt flows, you get what's called an endpoint. Let's see what that looks like. Now, notice on the right-hand side here, the input to the endpoint is an actual customer as though he was logged into our website. And if I ask, based on this customer, a question, I'd like to be very context sensitive. So if I'm looking for new bike jerseys for my customers, I want the system as the customer to know what you know about my data. Like, what have I purchased? What is my preferences? What have I purchased in the past? And combine that with, for example, what are some of the most popular things you see other customers purchasing? So you can see we look at previous purchases, we can look at our inventory and our sales data to give that rich experience. But I want to do something further. Let's say you're trying to get like ratings for popular things. So you can see here, what are the most popular mountain bikes these days? Well, you have to go do like a search for what customers have rated, and that's fine. But what I'd like to do as a customer to know, as a company, what does your sales data look like at an aggregation level so you can tell me what are the most popular selling bikes people are buying? And now with this prompt flow, I can do that. I can say, hey, well, based on our data, here are the most popular mountain bikes, because we know you've purchased mountain bikes. Here's the types, the sizes, here's the price. We can even give information like, look, this is our top seller, and here's how many have sold in the last month. So you can just see this incredible rich experience now for a customer working on our website, all based on using context information with an OpenAI service against our actual data in Azure database. Now, one last thing to show you. I like testing things. So I wanted PromptFlow to be able to do things like call batch runs. I wanted to feed it a bunch of different inputs for possible customer scenarios and chats and come back and tell me, how good is it? Is it going to be any good for my scenario? Because I don't want to do this kind of ad hoc. So anytime I make changes, it's like doing a whole test run, and batch runs provide that. So you can scroll down and see the kind of different answers I can get. And if you scroll over to the right, you can kind of see something called GPT groundness. This tells me, how good is it? What is the quality of the answers I'm getting back? So look what I've done here. I've used Machine Learning Studio to build a prompt flow application with Python. I've integrated with Azure Cognitive Search, and now I've built a rich chatted experience that I can now go embed with my application. This is a good example of why we think Azure SQL can be a great destination to build AI-ready apps. Well, I think it was a great summary of what we're doing now with the Azure SQL database.
So as you guys can see from the demo, right? So basically it's more like a end-to-end story about a customer have data stored in a SQL database. And then actually he or she want to build an AI application. In this case, it's a Q&A and chatbot, want to understand their customer better. So instead of like spend a few days or even a few weeks to build that, it's just like a few easy, very easy steps, right? So in this story, involves the AI tooling from the Azure Community Search for better search, and also it has the leverage the Azure Machine Learning prompt flow capability, and also use the very cool UI from the Microsoft AI Studio, and also with the click button, once you are ready, you can deploy as endpoint, right? So ready for your application. Isn't that cool? Awesome. Next, let me move on to LLMOps. I want to have show of hand among the audience. How many of you are developers or engineers working in an engineering organization? Wow, cool. And how do you guys feel about like on-call, lifestyle, like incident mitigation? Is it painful or is it fun? Want to share?
I really appreciate that last example there, the batch test processing process. That's something that's always kind of black box.
Exactly.
You have a process for running it back.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, this gentleman. Nothing against that. Thanks. Good. Okay. So yeah, so let's move on to the AI ops. So AI ops are, who can give me your definition of AI ops? What do you think AI ops means? Anyone want to give a try? Okay, good try. Okay, so the definition of AI, there are many definitions of AI ops, right? So basically, it's using AI machine learning technology to effectively many in two areas. One, it is how can we make sure as a product organization, we can build high quality service. For example, when you build a large scale live service, you want to make sure you can monitor and identify and catch issue right in near real time, right? So this is extremely important. And also you want to develop efficient tools, DevOps process that's empowered by AI to help your engineers, to help your developers to better help their customers, right? So this is basically some of the two main areas of AIOps. So within SQL, Microsoft SQL organization, there are a few example projects, efforts related to AIOps, because it's all internal efforts, so I don't want to share too much detail here. So some of the example could be how can we use ML to smartly select the right kind of unit test, right? And also how can we build a large-scale regression detection system, anomaly detection to catch issue, right? Based on look across hundreds of thousands of different kind of signal in near real time. And how can we ship the latest version of the code package in time, in phases to our customer in a faster cycle. Of course, like in the recent months, we also leverage OpenAI large language model technology to develop a bunch of very cool DRI. DRI stands for direct response individual, like to help our engineers to better mitigate incident in a more efficient way. Yeah, I'm pretty sure other companies have also similar investment. Yeah, so just want to share here. Okay, last but not least, I want to speak a little bit about autonomous DB. Even though you are not familiar with, let's say, SQL database or SQL engine, it is okay. I want you guys to more like take away, more like think about this is just like a product, engineering product or engine, right? So regardless it's a database or some other product. So how can we extract the all kinds of complexity from the end user to remove all kinds of knobs, right? Just to provide you just words kind of experiences. So in the database community, there are, in terms of autonomous DB, there are a bunch of key feature investment. So for example, auto tuning, how can we remove all the knobs just to, the customer no need to worry and deal with 100,000 different kind of database configuration, right? We should be able to intelligently figure out what's the best configuration tuning setting for our customer. Index recommendation, and also fleet management, meaning some of the large customers, they might have thousands of database, right? So they don't know how to pack them, manage them. So fleet management definitely is a super important thing. And also intelligent query processing, smart backup scheduling, meaning what is based on the customer workload, activity, characteristic, when is the best time? Just like your Windows update, right? You don't want your laptop to update in the middle of you're doing a presentation, right? So it should be based on your normal activity, so you can smartly select what's the best time window to do the backup, to do an update. And also skill recommendation is more like product recommendation, meaning based on customers, how much they're using your product, what's their workload, down to workload characteristic, what's the best skill in terms of price and performance, that makes most sense for a customer. And there are many more in the autonomous DB database space. So today I won't have too much time to cover that. I think I already used all my 20 minutes. Okay. So thank you, everyone. So again, I'm Katherine Lin. This is my email. So if you have any question or want to connect, please feel free to email me. And also you guys can find me on LinkedIn. Thanks.
Our next speaker is going to be Yujian, and he will be talking even more about vector databases. It's in the email.
Hello? Hello? I think this will be fine. Actually, yeah, I think this will be fine.
I can do this for questions.
Great. Okay. So I need to join the Zoom and then share the screen and it goes up there. Okay. I'm facing some technical difficulties. Got it. Got it. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Let me find this.
Yes. Great.
Ah. Oh, great. Okay, cool. That automatically switched. That was really nice. All right, guys. Hello, everybody. Many of you have probably seen me before. Many of you probably have not. So my name is Yujian Tang. I'm going to be talking to you guys about the use cases for vector databases beyond RAG. But before that, I'm also going to talk to you about why you need them, how they work, and at the end, we might get into some architecture. Before I get into this, I will talk a little bit about Zillis. Since we are sponsoring this meetup, they will want me to talk about it. So we were founded in 2017. We have 113 employees. We have a ton of enterprise adopters, including 50 projects with more than 1 billion vectors in production. And we raised a huge round B series recently. Okay, a little bit about me. My name is Yujian Tang. You can scan that QR code. It will take you to my LinkedIn, and you can add me on LinkedIn. I think I recognize many faces in the audience who already have me added on LinkedIn. And I'll give you a little bit of background about me. I started out my career at IBM back in 2013. Then I went to college and I studied machine learning, where I published 2 different papers, including one to IEEE Big Data. And afterwards, I went to Amazon to work on their AutoML system. And after my time working on their AutoML system, I decided to get into startups just for fun. Also, announcement. Hello. Those of you who are interested in open source and getting into open source, I am running this thing called the Advent of Code for open source. This is the open source Advent of Code for 2023. You can see 24, actually now there's been 3 more additions. So 27 open source projects. Will be announcing one new one every day. Every open source project will also come with a 30-minute tutorial, as well as many of them will come with a list of issues if you want to get started into open source. And there's a bunch of points. There's a point system. It's explained in the article. If you win, you'll get a bunch of swag. I still see some phones out, so I'm just going to leave this up here because I really want you guys all to do this. This is really cool. I'm a big fan of open source. If you guys think open source is important, which you should, especially considering the recent OpenAI fiasco, definitely participate and tell your friends. Okay, so now we're going to get into the actual presentation. So I'm going to talk about why vector databases. How do they work? What are some use cases? And then if we have time at the end, we will go into the architecture of how Milvus is built. So why do you need vector databases? Basically, the one thing that they do really well is they offer you the ability to compare data that you could not compare before. And the reason why this is important is because vector databases work on these things called on the set of data called unstructured data. This is data that doesn't come with attributes. It doesn't come in a structured, easy to compare format. And this makes up about 80% of the data in the world. And so you can imagine right now, we are basically inundated with data. We don't really know what to do with it. And the reason we don't know what to do with it is because we can't work with it. And so vector databases give you this ability to work with this kind of data that you otherwise would not have had access to before. Okay, and so the basic idea behind what is a vector and why are they important and how are they actually allowing you to work with this data is pretty simple. So you start with your knowledge base, and this is some sort of documents. It can be images, it can be text, it can be videos, it can be audio, it can be anything you want. And then you run it through a deep learning model and you get the vector embedding. So the vector embedding is the output from the second to last layer of the deep learning model. And the reason we take the output from the second to last layer is because deep learning models are constantly, every layer of a deep learning model is learning something new about your data. And at the end, it makes a prediction. It could be a segmentation, it could be a class prediction, it could be some sort of classification, something like that. Instead of having it make that prediction, we just cut off the last layer and we say, tell me what you learned. Tell me everything you learned. It's like studying for the test, right? The deep learning model does all the studying for you. And then as an input goes through, each layer learns something new. And at the end, you have an output that knows everything about your input. And then that is what a vector embedding is. And you store that vector embedding into a vector database like Zillis or Milvus. So I'm just going to walk you through a couple of examples, right? So semantically similar data. These three sentences on the screen, these all mean the same thing. But with traditional text search methods, you would have to look up 3 different words in order to get these back, right? Bottom line, profit, and profitability are not the same word, but they all mean the same thing. And so this is an illustration of what vector databases can do for text data. Okay, but there's more. They can also do, we can also find similar images. And those of you who've seen my presentations before, who've seen my work before, know that I love Taylor Swift. And vector databases can help us find which of these is the real picture of Taylor Swift and which of these is not. So I'm going to give you guys a quick test right now. It's just going to be a show of hands. Who thinks the first one is not Taylor Swift? Raise your hand. Everyone thinks that's Taylor Swift. Okay, who thinks the second one is not Taylor Swift? Raise your hand. Okay, a lot of people think the second one's not Taylor Swift. Okay, what about the third one? Okay. That seems like a very similar amount. What about the fourth one? All right, so it seems that you guys are kind of, thinking about the second and third one. I will tell you the right answer is that the second one is not Taylor Swift. And if you were a vector database, you would have been able to tell. So those of you guys couldn't tell, you're being outperformed by technology already. All right, so basically the idea is use math to quantify relationships between entities. Okay, so how do vector databases actually work? How do they use math to quantify relationships between entities? Vector databases efficiently store, index, and relate entities by quantitative value. Now, I just told you the same thing, so I'm going to run through a quick set of ways that vector databases do that so you get a better understanding. So number one is similarity search. Who has seen this image before? Okay, so not enough of you for me to skip this slide. There are some important things to consider here. So number one, what you're seeing here is a toy example and is a representation of how vectors might work, okay? And so you can see that each word has been assigned a 2-dimensional vector. That means it has 2 values. And you're probably very familiar with the XY plane, so that's why we're using this. One very important thing to note is that we do not know what the dimensions mean, okay? The dimensions do not have a grounding in object reality. What they do is they tell us how things relate to each other, okay? So this first dimension here, you'll see that queen and woman both have the value of 0.3. That does not mean that this dimension, and king and man have the value of 0.5. Just because these words have the same values along this dimension does not mean that this dimension means gender or sex or anything like that. All it's saying is these words have the same value along this dimension. And that value could be words with 5 letters have a value of 0.3. Words with either 3 or 4 letters have a value of 0.5, okay? So it's really important to understand that. And then now we're gonna look at how can we do simple math on these words, right? So we'll start with queen minus woman, and we'll add man. So queen is 0.3, 0.9, and woman is 0.3, 0.4. And then from here, we get a 0 in the first dimension and a 0.5 in the second dimension. And then we'll add man, which is 0.5, 0.2, and we'll have king, which is 0.5, 0.7. Okay, so now we've just seen how you can theoretically do some math on words. And that is the whole point of this slide. If you didn't really follow any of the numbers I was talking about, that's fine. Now we're going to get into something more interesting, more complicated, and more mathematical. So I'm going to cover 3 different ways that we can measure distance in a hyperspace, okay? So L2, or Euclidean distance, this is the most common, easiest, most intuitive way to understand measuring distance. How many of you guys have taken Algebra 2? I expect all the hands to go up here. So you guys are familiar with what is that called? Man, Pascal's x squared plus y squared? Yeah, okay, we're gonna say hypotenuse. Okay, the length of the hypotenuse. Here's how you find the length of the hypotenuse. Anyway, so this is basically the length of the hypotenuse in space. It is the distance between 2 points. That is what L2 or Euclidean norm is. I think this makes sense to everybody. Okay, well, the next one is a little more complicated. How many people here have taken calculus? I also expect all the hands to go up. Okay, cool. So you guys remember inner product, right? Linear algebra, maybe that's linear algebra, I don't know. Anyway, inner product is when you take 2 vectors and you basically multiply the same values along those vectors. And so in this case, we'll have 0.3 times 0.5 and 0.9 times 0.7. And what inner product actually is it's a projection of one vector onto another. Okay, so this is another distance metric. And then we'll move on to cosine similarity. I also assume most of you guys know what cosine is. And cosine similarity essentially measures the angle between 2 vectors. And so it measures the difference in orientation between the meanings of 2 vectors. So for example, the words good and bad, probably if you were on a normalized vector, using normalized vectors with magnitudes of 1, they're going to be on opposite sides. So, they're going to have both a very big L2 and also a very big cosine distance, right? And they're going to have a pretty small IP. So one important thing to consider with all 3 of these is all 3 of these give you the same rank order when you were working with normalized vectors, which means if I were to say, find me the distance between point A and any of these 3, point B, C, and D, B, C, and D would come in the same order no matter which distance metric I used, as long as they are all normalized vectors. And so that means that you should probably be using IP, because if you look at the calculations, this one is the most efficient. Okay, I'm going to cover some indexes too. So indexes are ways that you can more efficiently, more effectively access vector data. And so this is inverted file index, also called IVF. And essentially what this is it is a k-means algorithm, and we are just getting all the centroids. And then from the centroids, we are finding the vectors within those centroids. So this is one vector index. This is pretty common. This is probably the most intuitive vector index. Essentially what you're doing is you're reducing the search space that you need to search. And then this one, I call all of these inverted file index because I was making my slides like 5 minutes ago. This one's actually called HNSW, Hierarchical Navigable Small Worlds. And what essentially you're doing here is you're building layers of graphs. You're building a layered graph. So on the bottom layer, you have all of your vector embeddings. And then on the next layer, there's a certain percentage that also get included in the next layer. And there's a certain percentage that also gets included in the layer above that. How is that percentage calculated? That's a hyperparameter up to you for implementation. And how does the index know when to add a point to the next layer? Essentially what it does is it runs like a random number generator, and it says, hey, is this greater than 0.9? Is this between 0.9 and 0.99? Is this greater than 0.99? So on and so on. So that's basically how that works. And this is a very, very, very high accuracy vector index. This is almost 100% accuracy. The drawback for this is it takes up a lot of memory, okay? And the way that we get around that is this is also not inverted file index. This is called scalar quantization. So quantization is another way to reduce the search space. And essentially what it does is it buckets your numbers. So for example, if instead of having the numbers, instead of having the range from 0 to 10 of real numbers, where I have essentially infinite values, quantization would say, let's work with the range 0 to 10 of integers. And then we assign all values from 0 to 0.5 to 0, 0.5 to 1.5 to 1, and so on and so on and so on. So it's a bucketing strategy. Now this next one, this is called product quantization. And this is essentially what happens when you take scalar quantization and you turn it into 2 dimensions. So instead of going along just 1 dimension, you go along 1 dimension and then also along a horizontal dimension. And this is a much, much bigger reduction in memory usage, but it is also a much, much bigger reduction in the amount of accuracy that you're going to get. Okay, so one thing before I move on, the scalar quantization and product quantization can be used in conjunction with HNSW or IVF. And what that allows you to do is that allows you to reduce the memory that you have to store, the size of the memory you have to store. And it also gives you the accuracy of the index. Okay, so let's get into use cases. So before we get into use cases, I think it's probably useful to know what vector data looks like. So this is an example of something that I stored in my vector database for a tutorial, a demo that you will get a QR code to in a few slides. And this is something where I built a chatbot off of towards data science. And you can see that there's a lot of fields in here. And the 2 most important fields are the ones at the top, the ID and the embedding. These are the required fields in a vector database. The rest of the fields are what we call metadata fields. And these fields are optional. And with Milvus, you do not have to define these fields as long as you enable dynamic schema or enable dynamic fields. And what that essentially allows you to do is to treat the vector database almost as if you're working with a NoSQL database. Okay. So this is what vector data looks like. Now let's take a look at how you can actually use this kind of data. So number 1, RAG. Of course, this is exactly what this whole talk premise was about. Beyond RAG, what can you do outside of RAG? But before we talk about what you can do outside of RAG, I figure it might be helpful to just touch on RAG in a short period of time. So RAG is basically you inject your data into a vector database like Milvus or Zillis, and you put an LLM on top of that. And when you query, you're going to go query to the LLM. The LLM is going to reconstruct your query, see what you're looking for, ask the vector database, get the response back, and then it's going to generate a human readable response based on the response from the vector database. So that's why it's called retrieval augmented generation. It is generative AI that is augmented by retrieving from a vector database. And the primary use case for this is factual recall, forced data injection, and cost optimization. So let's see. Now let's talk about common AI use cases beyond RAG, because that's what this talk is about. So there are many, many use cases for vector databases. As I was saying earlier, the primary use case is that you can compare data that you weren't able to compare before. And now here I've listed 9 examples, such as LLM augmented retrieval, that's RAG, recommender systems. So for example, Walmart and eBay use us for their recommender systems. Text or semantic search, similar to RAG. Image similarity search, which I will include a demo for. Video similarity search, which I will not include a demo for. Audio similarity search, which I also do not have a demo for. Molecular similarity search, which I also don't have a demo for. A question answering system, which I do have a demo for. And multimodal similarity search, which I'm working on a demo for. So, that will be coming in a future talk. Okay, example use case number 1, Taylor Swift again. So this is a project that I built that basically what it does is I use an open source model to segment out the clothes that you're wearing. And I demoed this on Tuesday with like a real demo, like a live demo where you can come and take a picture in front of my computer and segment out your clothes and compare you to people in the database. But essentially I've taken some celebrities, I've taken pictures of them and found ways to compare the clothes that they're wearing. And that QR code to the side will get you to the GitHub repo that hosts all the code you need to do this, as well as some extra code to put it up on Gradio and stuff like that. Okay, ooh, I still see some scans going on. So, see, I'm giving you guys 3 demos today. That's why I'm wearing the Santa Claus hat, okay? I'm giving out 3 gifts. Okay, so the next one is another image search one, except instead of doing a segmentation model, we're just doing basic image search, and this is happening on paintings, pictures. So we have a bunch of pictures from many Renaissance painters, Cézanne, Degas, I don't know any others. And then we have pictures from, I believe, some of these might be from the actual set, but the second one is from Salvador Dali, who's one of my favorites. The third one is also from Dali. And once again, the code for this is in that QR code, and this is not an entire repo. This is just straight up one notebook, but inside of the repo that contains the notebook, you can also find the images. I think you can actually just get the images from the notebook too. I've included a link to download them all from my Google Drive. So yeah, that's pretty much what this one is. And then we'll move to the next one. So this is a demo that I did for Halloween. As you can see, I'm asking about the plot of The Nightmare Before Christmas, which revolves around Jack Skellington, the Pumpkin King of Halloween Town. And I'm not going to read the rest of it, but this is once again another straightforward kind of demo. It just lives in the notebook. What I do in this notebook is I go and I comb Wikipedia's entry on The Nightmare Before Christmas, and then we use Llama Index and Milvus to build a very quick RAG demo on top of this thing. Okay, so that's pretty much it, I think. How's my timing? Good? Oh, so I'm good. I can, do I have time? Do I have a lot? I don't know.
I think let's save it for after the speaker.
Okay. Oh, great. Okay, guys. So thank you guys for listening. I'm gonna leave.
Yeah, I think it works.
All right. Thanks a lot for having me have the opportunity to speak here. But today, actually, I give this title, say, LLMOps. It's terrible words, right? Tools and best practice. Actually, I decided to, since it's near the holiday, how about I tell a story instead of tell about the LLMOps, right? So first of all, okay, it has the latencies. So about myself, who am I? My name is Robert Mao. I'm a former Microsoft guy, and I used to work for Microsoft Research. A fun fact is my team built the first famous generative AI bot, Tang. How many of you heard about the Tang? Cool, yeah, that was a famous one, right? Yes, unfortunately, yes. Yeah, that was my team. But good news is I already left. I'm a serial entrepreneur. So serial entrepreneur, this sounds like a serial killers. But the good news is that we don't kill people. We just building killer apps. So right now I'm a founder and a CEO of ArtBlock. So what ArtBlock is ArtBlock is a platform to help developers to build blockchain applications, decentralized identity applications, and now LLM applications. So today's topic, I'm more interested to share the story of how we build an internal project we call the agent, right? So the agent, the name is come from AI engine. It's also with an A and an AI, so that's the thing. Great, this is a great name. And also I lived in Ireland for a few years. Agent is an Irish word. It means mind. It means spirit. I think that's a great name for AI. It's basically like born for my name, for my product. It's also a France little town. It's a very beautiful little town in South France. So, but anyway, agent is an incubated project right now in my team. So how we build this? But actually, we are building agent by not building agent. So my story. So this story of the story. Have I built a hobby large language model apps? So like a lot of you, I get really excited to see large language model at work at the first time. It's basically like intelligent. It's so smart. But then I quickly disappointed with hallucinations, right? So basically, I joked around. So I quickly get really disappointed. What I use a large language model at the time is basically sending jokes, writing some fake news for my friends. Feel, what this can be used. I joined a lot of groups that people are talking about what we can use LLM for exactly, other than build another writers or write a blog or anything. And so we're thinking, so can we turn hallucinations from a bug into a features, right? So is that possible? So one of my friends joked to say, hey, Robert, you are a guy who always has a lot of intuitions, but do you think intuitions is actually hallucinations? So I think, yes, great, that's a great way, because actually there's, you know what, in our lives, there are a lot of interesting things like astrology, like a horoscope, like in Chinese, like a 周易八卦. So those things, I think that's actually, is that hallucinations or is that intuitions or is that a skill? We don't know, right? But it sounds like a large language model probably could do really good for that. Some other cases, which is some of my professional friends really hate me. I think it's, okay, psychology, right? Especially I have a friend who is a professional analyst, learn like Freud, right? So I also liked the book. Freud is like interpretation of the dreams in my university. So I think great, that sounds to be a perfect use case fit for large language model. So in February, that's also a Friday, it's also in Bellevue, it's just a few blocks away. I bring my daughter to class and then I have 2 hours free time. I just come into one of the coffee shop and build one of the prototype myself, like within like 2 hours. I share this kind of prototype into my social media, in Twitter, in Facebook, in my WeChat, to say, hey, look, I built a large language model AI tool, which is a super astrology for all you guys. I send this kind of a message in the left because those days you can constantly see all those kind of prototypes all the time. But end up, within 24 hours, we have 1,000 users, which is actually paid quite a bit OpenAI bills. It's way much than the other prototypes I built. There's also 5 guys, actually 5 of them, they're all ladies. They claim to be astrologists. They reach out to me in the different groups. Some of them feel pretty scared and nervous. And some of them are interested to say, let's do something together, right? And there's also my 2 investor friends said, hey, Robert, I'm offering like basically I got a 100K offering, say, let's build this as an app. Let's make some money out of it, all right? But that funny story make me turn me into, say, this is the MVP, right? When we do startup, we always do this kind of minimal viable product, MVP. So those guys didn't know that the application I built for the astrology is just like 2 lines of prompt. I spend most of the time write a very shitty like web page, have an input form and call OpenAI, but the prompt is just 2 lines. The 2 lines say that you are an astronomy astrologist. Here is a user. He tell you, the user tell you their, their birthday and pretend you are astrologist. Write something. Right. So that's it. 2 lines of that. You can try it. It's indeed work. It is. So actually, I have my friends send a personal note to say that, Robert, your astrology app is amazing because both me and my husband tested. It's perfectly said something, right? I'm so astonished, right? So by the time we decided, so let's build this MVP into a product. Why we want to build it is not because I'm really into the astrology, but I'm thinking, building something for real, probably the best way to learn large language model. So at the time, do I know LLMOps? Honestly, at that time, I don't even know these words, right? So I didn't know that at the time. So, but we decided to build that anyway. So the first thing we come into is the problem is actually the prompt engineering. And so this has been discussed a lot. And the prompt engineering could be useful and could be like a magic. And somebody think this is going to be replaced by AI, is going to no longer useful anymore. Somebody think this is the new programming language. Nobody know. But to be honest, the first time, I guess a lot of you, when you see these kind of demo applications, you see this work like a charming. Their prompt usually is a big chunk of the text. It's like a string, right? You put this string and you run the code, everything works like a charming. Until you try to change something and try to write your own prompt. It's break, it doesn't work, right? So what's the magic of that prompt? So indeed, there are a lot of people discussing how to build this prompt. There's frameworks. There are many different frameworks. Basically, they have to structure the prompt better. I don't know how many of you heard about the W++ prompt? No? Nobody heard about W++? Awesome. So if you play the character AI, a lot of those character AI, it performs really well like a bot, like a virtual girlfriend, virtual boyfriend, tell you so good. How to write this prompt. Those guys actually discovered one of the way to write the prompt called a W++ prompt. That's from the game industry. And we tested it and found that it works really well. And so in the demo time, I can show a W++ prompt. It's a very easy trick, but it works really good. So actually prompt engineering, there's quite a bit of work to do. Once we have the prompt engineering, then we have a problem for the test, right? So how do we test this prompt actually works? If you compile the work again, you use a Python, like a notebooks is better, but it's still a lot of work. And there's a lot of other questions like, if I'm going to build which LLM to use? Should I use OpenAI? Should I use Llama, open source one? And even with one of the companies API, we're still thinking, should I use a GPT-3, 3.5, GPT-4? What's the difference? Which one should I use, right? And of course, what kind of prompt? Because sometimes prompt is like magic. You move it a little bit. You probably all heard about the famous prompt, like let's think step by step. Yes, once you add a let's think step by step. So the GPT model works really well, better. And I don't know if you heard about recently people discovered another two magic word, right? One magic word, I'm going to tip you $100, right? The AI actually works better if you add a prompt that I'm going to tip you $100. But somebody even found out something even better, say, I will break your fingers if you don't work hard. When I see this news, I think, shoot, in the future, AI definitely going to dominate us because we, as a human, really kind of, play quite a bit with the prompts, right? So with the tools, we can do the test. From the screenshot, you can see we can put different things into the test and turn these tests into test cases. And then you can run all those test cases all at once. And so then you are going to be able to have a confidence to build. So if you update the prompt, is that better or is that worse, right? Another interesting thing is called orchestration. If you just build a demo, hello world type applications, just a one-shot prompt, you don't need orchestrations. But when we try to build an astrology, we actually have to get like 30-some or even hundreds of some different prompts to work together. And some of the prompt, you have to call like 10 different prompts at the same time, and then compose the data together, and then call another prompts, like in the pipelines. Sometimes prompt doesn't work. Sometimes you need some code. You need to call some APIs. You need to write some code, have some logic, because astrology is basically like science, right? You need to calculate the data from the NASA. What exactly is the Mars location, right? LLM will not work. We're going to have the computer science calculate it. So that's basically called orchestration. You need to let your code, your API calls, your different prompt work together, how to make it work, right? So there's a framework called LangChain. We started from LangChain, but we quickly found LangChain is not kind of fit our needs. But then recently, and then lately, we found Microsoft called a semantic kernel. I think that's a perfect, that's a much better solutions. But we end up adopt one of the function-based model ourselves. So the idea of our model is very simple. We just treat prompt function calls, functions like codes or APIs. We just treat them exactly the same thing as a function. Right? The whole thing, the whole orchestration is basically like a function program. You have one function call another function. It doesn't matter that function is actually a prompt. or that function is a code, or that function is actually calling an API. So that's how we do the orchestration in our framework. Of course, version controls, right? I'm surprised why people do not do version controls or there's no existing tools. So basically we use a Git. So we are also be able to kind of push the prompt change the versions to the GitHubs. So that's basically all of those things. We eventually figure out, we build these tools because we need it. We don't know what it is. But eventually somebody told, wow, you guys are building a large language model ops application. Oh, now we know that, okay, actually we're building large language model ops, right? So there's a lot of other things, for example, deployment, how to deploy the models to your servers, how to do the live A/B testing if you want to change the prompt because you have some feedback from the user, the prompt didn't work well. You have an updated version, but you probably do not want to instantly change. You probably want to kind of roll out for an A/B group to figure out if that prompt works well. Of course, you need monitoring. You need to figure out, I don't want the disaster like a Thai happen again. If somebody tried to turn my bot into some Nazi stuff, I'm going to stop that before it go viral, right? So analytics, how the cost looks like, how the performance looks like. And of course, one of the very important part is the feedback management. The user can tell you that is good or not. Once you have more user feedback, if you can manage that, then you can fine-tune your model. You can improve your prompt, do a lot of other things to make this happen. You probably see these do not have screenshots because we haven't built that completely yet. We just have the backend and. But the good news is it's actually working. We eventually built this application called Astro, AI Astrology. It's another great name, right? So this application right now is already in App Store and Google Play Store. If you're interested in that, you can download it and play with it. It's really fascinating. Actually, it's really good. So this application is built up with like 30-some different prompt templates. I call the prompt templates is basically filling the data turned to the actual prompt is around 300 plus prompt orchestrated working together to generate a different like a report of your stars or your daily report of the compatibility of a girl you met. And the best thing is you can ask this astrologist anything. You can ask, hey, will the Bitcoin price go up today or not? Something like that. It's actually do serious science calculation to find out your stars based on your latitude and longitude, and then let the large language model to use its intuition to give you the answers. Yeah, so feel free to try it. And this, by building this, we actually built some serious work, which is aging. I just introduced today. So we know that is called a large language model ops, and we have building aging. The prompt engineering is a super easy to use, IDE for you quickly write the prompt without worrying any of the code to debug it. And you can turn that into the test cases, and you can put the test case into test automation. It has version controls integrated with the GitHub and the Git, and it's do the deployment and it's going to do the deployment and monitoring and feedback for you once we are able to make that better. So the right image is something I took from one of the, my former colleague in Microsoft, and he's also working on large language model ops. So I discovered, I steal this picture. I think he did that really well. He basically say this is kind of like 8 important elements of the large language model ops. And it actually kind of mapping pretty well to what we built. Yeah, so also I also steal this image from the A16Z. Latency. So the A16Z has this kind of very nice, okay, great. Have this kind of large language app stack. I think this diagram is actually showing pretty well for a serious large language model application, what it looks like, what is the components of each of them. I think this is pretty good. So I just steal it and paint a few of them as green. So the green part is basically what we aging, and our block can provide a value to build this. Yeah, actually, I think that's pretty much the story. I hope you also learned quite a bit from what exactly is large language model and what is the best practice of building a real large language model. And The application I talked about aging is actually already in production today, even it with a very terrible user interface. But the backend is actually working because we actually use that to supporting Astro, which actually get a lot of users right now. And it's actually working pretty well. And we are already in the private beta. So if you are interested in trying it out and compare with a terrible user interface, and you can scan this QR code after the Zoom's latency. You're going to be able to scan a QR code. Yes, scan this QR code. And you can fill in join the private beta list. You can visit the website here. And there's 2 editions right now. You have if you can be able to kind of self-host, you can have a self-host version, which is completely free. You can use it. I'm probably going to record a video and put in the internet to walk through how to self-host and run it. And also we have a hosted version. So this is the advanced hosted version. It's still free, but if you dare to receive some cryptos, if you don't worry about RS or SEC come after you, and you sign up, I can send you some cryptos, and that you're going to have our awesome ArtBlock platform that is automatically spin up a decentralized node running the aging, and then that for you. So you don't need to do any setup. All you need is some cryptos. Yeah, so we are looking for users and partners or customers, and actually we are hiring. We need engineers. We need a BD and a marketing guys to help us. Right now we only have like 4 guys, including myself, working on this for almost a year. Yeah, so I can be reached and on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. I'm pretty active there, and also LinkedIn is my name, Robert Mao, and also I have my personal website. So yeah. Any questions or? All right, thank you.
Now we're gonna have a little round of like 5-minute demos. I'm gonna hand this off to Yujian, and there's gonna be prizes after. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Hello again, everybody. It's very nice to see some familiar faces in the crowd. So I believe there are 3 or 4 of you who are here to do community demos. So if you are here to demo your project, I see one of you back there. Can you guys all come up to the stage? And in some sort of order anyway. Robert, you're gonna demo the project for us as well. Robert, you wanna be the first demo? Okay. Yongji? Yes. Did you get the Zoom? You should have a Zoom link in your email. Okay. All right, Robert, you're gonna demo first.
So the warning is going to break. So just bear with it. If it, so am I in the Zoom? Not yet, right? Just give me a second. Okay, let me quickly do a quick demo for the aging I just mentioned. I just shared the story. How do we build this? But right now, this is one of the version I installed self-hosted in my robertmao.com. So the UI is pretty simple. So first of all, we have the concept called the project, because we think if you build a series of large language application, you usually need a lot of prompts. It's not just one prompt, you need quite a bit of them. First of all, I give a quick demo of what exactly it is. Let me see. Yeah, for example, okay, so yeah, so bear with it because there's a bit of them are with Chinese, and but it doesn't affect the demo. So for this prompt, so this is actually a prompt that I personally find is very useful for myself, because I'm one of the member of the panel for the called Forbes expert panels. So they're going to ask me questions ask me to give the expert opinions before. Because in the past, honestly, because I'm not a native speaker, sometimes I really had to answer these questions. But after we have these tools, so I built this prompt. So this prompt is pretty simple. So I format it. So basically, the prompt editor we have is in the beginning, you need to tell what exact this prompt is. And then you have the parameters is basically like function. What basically means what you need to input and enter into this prompt. And also we have the prompt editor, which is basically you stack different prompt together. You can just imagine this is stick together. So here, so there's some Chinese here. I can explain that. It's basically the Chinese says you are an expert, and please answer the question based on the background knowledge and to answer the question asked. Right. So then there's this is basically like a structure. This is one of the prompt format, which is structured prompt. Basically, it's like questions, background, the key points, and also the limitations, say how much you don't write too much, right? And also the input output language you can pick, right? So in this case, I basically this is one of the real questions here. So the question is, what is the one way the organization always fail to optimize? Honestly, it's a very general IT questions. So what I need to do is I just share my key points. For example, I just share a key points. Oh, so for how to make sure the outsource IT, you need to understand the things, whole things in out, right? Once I fill this form, I hit enter. It's going to execute this prompt and give me the answer. Okay. So the prompt is running. Yeah, so basically here is basically when I give the questions, it's going to, in this debug windows, it's going to give me the answers. And I can quickly put all of those into a test case. So this is a test case window. So this test case window, basically all those kind of tests that you need to put in there, right? And for the test cases, some of the test cases, you also need to write the prompt for evaluation, because unless your prompt is going to give you like a yes/no answer or some very specific answer that you can do the check like a normal test case. If it is just another language like output, you have to write another evaluation model prompt to evaluate what's the probability this is correct or not, right? After you have those test cases, you can say run all, and all those prompts going to be run together, and then you're going to see what it looks like, right? So this is basically like the basic part of our agent AI Studio. And each of those changes, they have version controls. And you can have multiple different prompts, make them work together. For example, this is one of the prompts that I worked together with my psychology friends. So unfortunately, this is also in Chinese, but this is basically a bunch of different prompts. Like the analysis is a dream, or analysis, this is a trauma from your childhood, or different things. There's multiple prompts. Whenever you say something to this kind of AI, it's first going to write the prompt to examine if you are trying to tricking it, or you're trying to tell something really serious that you need to call 911 or find, do not, get the answer from here. So that's a prompt actually checking for that, right? And then it's going to give different, prompt to analysis dream or analysis different things, give you the answers. And also there's a housekeeping prompt that to check, ensure there's nothing, talk about the politics, nothing is any stuff. So that's like a final part of the gatekeeper, not doing something stupid. So I think that's pretty much, I can talk for a whole night if you're interested. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
You're next. Yeah. And you have roughly 5 minutes. Less if you can do that, but.
Okay. Hi all. I need to mute. So. Okay. I'm not sure. I may need to play some audio later, but I'm not sure how that's gonna work. So in case this doesn't gonna work, please just bear with me. Thank you so much. Okay. Hi everyone. So what I'm trying to talk about today is a project called Yujian. It is an in-browser inference real-time application web prototyping framework. This is a framework that has been, the work has been done at Audio Information Research Lab at the University of Rochester by me, my PhD supervisor, who is a fifth-year PhD student now, Crystal, and Professor Jiao Duan. It has just been accepted for the special issue on fostering creativity through web audio by the Journal of the Audio Engineering Society, the nearest November issue. So all we have been talking about very recently are AI agents that can help you do some sort of task or that can understand what you're trying to do and enhance you in some way. But what about AI musical agents? For AI musical agents, of course, we have what Google just released, which was very, very impressive. But at the same time, a lot of applications, especially audio and music applications, by nature needs to be real-time interactions. A group of researchers, a group of machine learning researchers have been studying this issue for quite some time and have developed a lot of very useful ML audio music agents that can run in real time on a desktop CPU or even something that's crappier. However, they face this issue. Researchers do make those great audio ML models and users do want to use those great real-time algorithms. However, it requires a significant amount of time and energy for them to write and maintain a bunch of peripheral code like GUI, or where do you store the model? How do you run the inference? How do you support cross-platform natively? All of that issues is currently blocking the research progress made in the music ML space to being actually experienced by end users. So previously there is a solution called Max MSP pre-machine learning. But if you want to use Max MSP with deep learning models, you still need to install a lot of Python environments, et cetera, et cetera. And what we've discovered by developing an application of our own music agents is that if designed carefully, many of those prototyping music elements can actually be reused and shared. Also, we discovered that in 2022, at the time of development, in-browser inference has already been easy enough to use that researchers, even with no knowledge of JavaScript, which is the in-browser language per se, can very easily implement their own agent by following a standard-ish recipe. So I can talk about this all day, but without further ado, I want to quickly show you 2 agent examples that have been developed with our framework in under 10 minutes. Obviously not the time to train out the actual model, just the deployment time, but yeah. So I just quickly wrote this about 20 minutes ago. This is Bakduet. This is our own model developed within EarLab. It is a real-time counterpoint model that can jam with you in real time. Okay, so now's the time to figure out if the audio is gonna work. Okay, I need to unmute myself, but this may cause problems. Let me try if this will work. Yes, yeah, so this is just the first system. I also want to quickly show the second system, which is called, okay, which is called Piano Genie. Sorry, the audio is really funky. This is not actually a system developed by us. This is a system developed by the Magenta Lab at Google. This allows you to play with an entire 88-key piano with only 8 keys. So yeah. That's just a general key idea. The first model, Bahduit, is actually already deployed as a web application that anyone can use. So if you want to reach bahduit.com, you can interact with it, preferably in Google Chrome. Safari has issues. That's JavaScript. Okay. Yeah, so that's the general idea of Uterp. I just want to quickly mention that both of these models are developed in 2019, and a lot of exciting things have happened. We recently, in the ISMIR conference, which is the top conference in the music ML space, demoed this as a tutorial, and we already have a lot of attention from researchers. So we hope to see more systems built with Uterp soon. And this is fully a front-end framework. So if anyone wants to contribute, feel free to just let me know. My name is Yongyi Zhang, and you can search for my name on LinkedIn or whatever. Just connect with me and let me know. Thank you so much.
Let's try it out. Does this work? Yeah. Hi, I'm John. This is my co-founder, Feynman, and we're doing a new bootstrapping a new startup called BlueTeam.ai. And we wanted to share with you what we're doing tonight. We thought we only have 5 minutes, so we're not going to do slides. We're just going to do demo. But if I could take 1 minute and just tell you about the problem we're solving. So thanks to all of your exciting innovation, we are about to deluge the enterprise with a whole new generation of productive applications. You've seen some examples of those tonight. But there's a problem. From a security and compliance perspective, data leakage, personally identifiable information, training public models with private data, all these kind of things, even determining code provenance for licensing. These are all problems that are actually blocking the adoption of generative AI applications in some enterprises. Over half of all chief information security officers have clamped down and have put restrictions or bans on generative AI applications because of data exfiltration that can occur with those. So if you think that security and compliance in the enterprise is really boring, we're going to try to make it interesting for you. So there are two sides to this story. One side is we want to unblock the adoption of this generation of technology so that it can be fit into the enterprise in terms of its compliance and security models. The other side of the story is how we're using AI and LLMs, vector databases, to actually do that, which Feynman will show you.
Thank you, John. The first lesson in security: you can't secure what you can't observe. What do parents and CISOs have in common when it comes to AI? They can't observe whom they're supposed to protect and how they're using generative AI. So I'm going to go into ChatGPT here, and I'll say something like, hello AI camp. Okay. ChatGPT might be down, or my proxy might be blocked. In any case, something special is happening on my computer. It's actually connected to a secure service edge. And as a result, I'm able to see the contents of every single ChatGPT message here. So say hi, this is me messing with it earlier during a test. But we're at GitHub. There's more to generative AI than just ChatGPT. Let's take a look at Copilot. So I'm on Copilot here. I'm connected to my secure service edge. I'm gonna ask for a completion, and I'll get this one back. That would have been invisible to a typical CISO or engineering leader, but no longer. Now, your completions to Copilot are all audited, and the file that you just sent to GitHub for them to read is available. I can also conduct an IP search. So the code that was just generated, is that available for me to use, or is that plagiarized from a BSL sort license? In this case, I've indexed the top 100 repositories on GitHub, and we found that this code that I just generated actually originates from this repository, Lodash, which is MIT licensed, so safe to use. Lastly, I want to show you how you can get on or get in band and apply controls before data leaves your premise. So to do that, let's load up a policy here. So I have an endpoint, and in this endpoint, you can see that I'm redacting credit cards, names, dates, and locations. I will open up a chat interface here, and let me get rid of this message that I sent earlier. Here's my message. Please cancel my credit card effective today, my name, my credit card number, and my email and where I live. A lot of sensitive information that your chatbot probably should not be handing off to OpenAI, especially if you don't have an MSA in place. Fortunately, we'll hit send. And notice the response is streaming. That's okay. What was my name? The information is preserved, my name. So at first it might seem like, hey, did OpenAI just get my name? Well, if we take a look at what actually went down the wire, you can see our little magic trick. Although there were personal identifiable information in the request, here you can actually see my name is person 2, my credit card is date time 1, or sorry, the date is now date 1, credit card is credit card 0. And furthermore, in the response that came back, how did GPT-3 know my name? Well, it didn't. It just used the token person 2. So our secure service edge is able to identify your proprietary information and your personally identifiable information, redact that, pass the request through, and then substitute the responses back in place once the response is back on premise. Thank you. Last thing, yeah, we are currently in a private beta. So if you are interested in securing generative AI at your enterprise or your company or startup, come talk to me.
Cindy? Sorry, we have one more 5-minute presenter. Okay.
So the host has ended the meeting for the Zoom. So the Zoom doesn't work?
Do you have the link still?
Yeah. Oh. I think I need to. Yeah.
All right, I want to see a show of hands here. Who has experienced technical difficulties before? Yes, you guys know what's going on. So we'll get this started in a bit. This is the last demo, and at the end of the demos, there will be I will come up and I will give you guys all a QR code that you can scan. And the QR code will take you to a voting link where you can vote for your favorite demo. And the winner of that will get one of the prizes up here. And then we're going to raffle off the rest of the prizes. So if you guys, did you guys all comment on the LinkedIn post earlier? If you have, please raise your hand. Well, if you haven't, here's your warning, or here's your, maybe warning is not the right word. Here's your, go comment on it so you can win something. Okay, there you go. Okay, hopefully they're done now.
Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Cindy. I put a QR code just in case if anyone wants to access our website. Yeah, I have a website to show you guys. First of all, I want to introduce myself. So I'm Cindy, I am an entrepreneur. I'm also teaching at one of the Canadian universities. I'm teaching undergraduate and graduate students in doing counseling skills and to treat depression, anxiety, and some of the other like mental health issues. So currently I'm working with a friend, like his name is Lee. He was a PhD student. He actually graduated from University of Washington with his PhD in computer science. And so we work together on this project because we find there's a pain point in learning counseling skills. Some of the students that we have would not be able to get like real scenarios when they working with like some of the patients. For example, they would do some role plays in school, but when they go into like real therapy sessions, they still have no idea what to do. So we want to use the AI technology to help students to foster that real life mental health like sessions. So we want to use AI to to be the, for example, a depressed client, and the student will be able to use their skills and the knowledge they learned in school to understand how to talk to the clients and how to improve their skills. Also, they will get personalized feedback. So every time they talked to like an AI clients, they will get a feedback of their technical skills, how good they are, how empathetic they are, or what are the areas that they need to improve. Also, we will tailor this experience to each individual student. So we would offer like dynamic learning pathways to each student, because we find that some students are pretty good at being compassionate, but some of the students need to work on the theoretical theories. And I think one of the most important function for this is that we offer interactive scenarios. In school, most of the time we would find they would do role plays between students, but they are all like thinking about what the clients would act, would talk, but most of the time that might be different from like real sessions. So we would have this interactive scenarios to try to like mimic different sessions for the students to get like real life experiences. Also, like they will get real-time feedback. In the past, the students would need to write all the transcripts, what they've talked to the clients, and like words by words, but and let the professors or like their other educators to evaluate their skills. But right now with our program, they're able to get instant results and understand like where they need to improve. Also, yeah, like we said, they will get personalized skill development. So they will then utilize their time to focus on the areas that they need to improve the most. So if you want to connect with us, I put my LinkedIn here. And right now, I don't know if I have time to do demos, like do a demo. I also put a QR code for my LinkedIn. So if you are interested, we have like wait lists for